So to complement the Oxford interview video, I ask you guys to submit your questions and your concerns about the Oxford interview, and this is the consequence of all of those comments. The next question is about waffle. What if you're in the interview and you just keep talking because you want to say something that will sound remotely intelligent and you're nervous and everything is getting to you? Most interviews are 20 minutes. They are pressed for time. They will cut you off, and don't take it as a good sign or a bad sign. I mean, you might have been saying something completely useless, so they're just like, oh wait, let me give them another question or clarify this one thing to help them. Or you might have been saying something absolutely brilliant and they're like, whoop, box ticked. They are great. Now let's see if they're great at this other particular thing. Don't take it as good or a bad sign, just take it as a, okay, maybe I should stop speaking right now and listen to what they've got to say. They've been doing this for years. They've seen hundreds, thousands of applicants come through and sit in their office. They know what they're doing. Don't worry about it. Just like relax and trust that they will guide the direction of the conversation. Next question is quite specific. It focuses on something known as the basic logic problem in philosophy. However, the advice I'm going to give can be applied more broadly to just generally solving problems, whether it be in, say, maths or sciences or economics. So the basic logic problem is A is B, B is C, therefore A is C. If anyone ever gives you a problem that you have to solve, break it down into easier chunks. If you're trying to bake a cake, you don't just try and tackle making the cake all at once. You break the cake down into tiers, and you break those tiers into ingredients, and you break those ingredients into an order in which you mix them all together. So if someone gives you this problem, or any problem, break it down into parts. Address the one that you think is easiest. A is B. Okay, cool. B is C. Okay, cool. A is C. Does that exactly make sense? If you have an area where you're slightly like, I'm not sure if this exactly makes sense, or you have a gut feeling that maybe this is the focus of where the answer might lie, start diving into it. For instance, is it necessary that just because A is B and B is C, that it follows that A is C? What does the word is mean in this context? Surely it's just defined by the subject who's speaking, but if I say A is C, is that completely different from when you say, therefore A is C? With philosophy, it isn't so much about the answer that you give, but it's more about how you formulate the answer that you give, and how you deal with criticism to the answer that you give. So you might take the line that is as a completely subjective thing, and for one person, A is C might actually follow, whereas for someone else it might not. Or you might take the line that it's actually objective and it's a logical truth because the rules of logic exist beyond any form of subjectivity, thus making them objective. So you could take that line of argument, and then the tutor will be like, okay, well, have you considered this as a counter-argument? How would you deal with that? Of course, with the sciences, there kind of is one right answer. So this is just advice. Break down the problem, see where the different pieces are, and then try and solve each individual piece as opposed to solving the whole problem as a whole, especially if you've never tackled it before, because that can be far more daunting. Danielle Manley has asked, how do interviews start off? Am I expected to introduce myself to the person? And what am I expected to say? And also, are tutors scary? So I had 3 different interviews, one for philosophy, one for politics, and one for economics, and each of those interviews was completely different. It's just because every tutor has their own style of interviewing. So that means I can't actually give you a complete answer to this because there's too much variety. In one interview, I sat down, took off my coat, and they were like, oh, did you have a nice journey? And I was like, yeah, it was good. And they were like, oh, that's nice. Oh, it's nice that it's snowing outside. And I was like, yeah, it was. And he was like, oh, okay, what would you like to talk about in your personal statement? And then boom, we're into the interview. Another interview, I went in and straight away they started asking me about an economics question. I literally sat down on the seat, the person leaned forward and started asking me about Pascal's wager. In my final interview, I kind of sauntered in, and then it was all cold, because it was very, very cold. It was December in Oxford. And then he was like, oh, how's your day been? I hope it hasn't been that daunting, etc, etc. And then we got into, okay, so this is how the interview is going to take place. I'm going to be typing notes on my computer, which the other ones hadn't done, so he was whirring away typing. He said, don't be put off by that. I'm just making sure that I'm capturing everything that we're discussing so I can assess this as fairly as possible. Just bear in mind that whatever it is that the tutor does is what they find helps them the most in figuring out whether or not a candidate has potential as an Oxford student or not. They want you to succeed because they want to see if you can succeed at the university. So just remember that and you'll be fine. Mona Data has asked, what are they interested in? Are they interested in seeing how you think or what you know? They very much want to see how you think. Do you have potential to succeed at Oxford? Again, knowing content isn't the really impressive thing. It's how you apply the content that you do know to helping you create new arguments or solving problems that you've never seen before. James Yu has asked if I do unbelievably badly in my interview, but the rest of my application is excellent, do I still have a chance of getting in? Each component contributes to your application, so if one component is weaker, then it's going to bring down the rest of it. Vanilla has asked how many days before the interview will I be told that I have an interview? I would say about 2 weeks. Do check on the student room for the exact date for your subject, and also check down in the comments because I'm sure people will be discussing it down there. The next question is, can I run through the details for a Skype interview for international students? Yes, I can.